Yo, good day, and welcome to another episode of the RoadFS Podcast. Rod showed me a funny sticker to get me to laugh, but sorry, man, I think he laughed harder than me. We are actually in studio for the first time in a couple of weeks.
We haven't even been in our office since the 2nd of
It's
September, but anyway.
Yeah, it's been a long time, so...
Sounds like me. I'm in my home office today for the first time in a while.
Yep. So I have a question about your background. So, we have the cool pads in the compounds, but to the right, it looks like you have like
Fleur-de-lis,
a scout, Boy Scouts or
Fleur-de-lis.
Which is it?
Fleur-de-lis. So born and raised in New Orleans. I live about an hour north of New Orleans across Lake Pontchartrain. Okay. And so big Saints fan, it's in my blood. Yeah, they're doing great this year, huh? I don't know if you guys
are.
No one expected that. Not me, not anyone in New Orleans expected that. So we couldn't be more excited about how our home team is doing.
Well, and I love it because when I was a kid, we lived in Pensacola, Florida when I was in high school. Yeah. And the Saints
were going to jump for us.
Yeah, the Saints were so bad back then, and we used to call them the Aints. And so me and friends, they're like, let's become Saints fans. So I've been a Saints fan forever.
There you go.
Me too, as long as I can remember. One of my earliest memories is watching Saints games with an older uncle. So I've suffered through all of it as well.
So there you go. Well, that's crazy. It's interesting because I just actually crossed my mind while we're talking about football is being a fan of a team is a lot like working, right? It's a lot like our jobs. There's ups and downs, and the main thing you got to do is you got to stay behind it. Even when it's in the downs, you got to stay behind it. So
yeah, there's a lot of emotional investment, right? And a lot of pain and suffering, usually.
Especially if you're a Cubs fan.
When the Saints, went to the Super Bowl and won the Super Bowl, that was a really, really special moment for the city. And I think the nation felt that. It was like this one franchise that only won a couple of playoff games, finally got there and won, and it was a really emotional experience for a lot of people.
So let's the last time we physically saw you, we were at the Rupes Training Center in the summer.
Yeah,
training
polishing on helicopters.
Exactly, we were polishing on helicopters, which was absolutely stellar training. Just the fact that we were able to
have Jason fly.
That was insane. To have a helicopter land in the parking lot, pull the props off, pull it, and then push it into the thing was just insane.
It was cool.
So
that whole concept was birthed out of an earlier aviation training, and we're like, wouldn't that be neat? It originally started with the idea of a small aircraft, like an airplane, right? And then the idea came, it would be easier to get a helicopter or two in there, and I was like, a lot of people have detailed airplanes and helicopters and hangars, but has anyone done it inside of a detail center? So that was the neat part of it. So I was so happy to be part of that, and that was really neat.
Yeah, it was awesome. So there's been a lot of changes since then, at Rupes and in the detailing industry. But you guys have gone through some changes. You got under new management,
under new leadership, right?
But also, you guys are rolling out something that you just announced. And when is that actually coming out to the market? The announcement?
Well, we have not announced it to the public yet, so I can't talk about that. That's happening Monday.
So right. There was a teaser that went to the public that said, "Gear up, something's coming."
Come on, we can't twist your arm to give us a sneak.
I like my job. I want to keep it that way. But no, we're a big announcement on Monday. I can tell you that one thing, which is this product that we're announcing, it's in stock. It's ready to ship. In fact, we had a distributor webinar, and so distributors have already been placing orders. So unlike when we launched the cordless polishers, we had basically a pre-order system going.
Right.
This we wanted to do a little differently. We wanted to make sure we had the product built, ready to go. So when people are ready to order, it's shipping, within a couple of days. So.
And I see, the thing is I'm not under contract. I've already seen it, and it's a hair growth cream. You guys have both already used it.
Well, you haven't used it.
You can tell, and I've already got my pre-order in so that I can have a nice.
I've never needed anything like that. What are you talking about?
That's funny.
So well, it'll be cool. We are
it's
excited
that one that we got a sneak peek
yeah,
at.
Sort of, kind of.
So
maybe we were told that we said, hey, what this?
We're really excited about it.
They basically said, if you say anything, we will have to kill you.
So our lips are sealed. We won't.
No. We were told no photos, no social media. Right. Yep. I was in Tennessee for a little bit last week, and we kind of staged a photo. So we got a guy, using this item, and then another person taking photos of that guy. And we sent that to our marketing team and said, "Oh, is this okay? Is this what Said, no." So it was all staged, right? So we have fun.
Lose your job. So what else is going on besides new products? There's a lot going on at Rupes. I mean, I know that we know a lot of the people there. We were with, in the last 3 weeks, we've been with Todd Helm at a training. We were with Sarah
at a training.
At a training. We were, we see you guys a lot. I've talked to Jason Rose. So what else is going on at Rupes besides the product innovations?
Well, we're working on some other products that I think last time I heard was going to be probably early next year. So, as you guys know, innovation is a big part of what we're doing.
Yeah.
What we kind of stand for. So we have some innovative new products coming out beyond what's going to be, announced on Monday. Really, I think the newest thing, we've always been really big in the detail space, and probably the newest thing, and it's not exactly new, but we really kind of put a lot of focus and effort into, growing into some new industries. So it's a big part of what I'm doing, and my new role as of January is just, really trying to grow the paint and body side of things. There's an enormous amount of potential there. The really kind of rewarding thing there is that, we have a lot of people in that industry that are using, rotary systems, that some of those are kind of antiquated, and they're, 3-4 steps dealing with burning and swirl marks and rework and all those things. Not to say that rotary is a bad thing. We have a great rotary machine and system, and it has its place for, a lot of different applications. But in the collision world, we can really, really help people, with efficiencies, with quality of work, with, eliminating, rework, that sort of thing. So a lot of those folks, not everyone, but a lot of those folks, when we go in, we do a demo, we show them what we can do with a random orbital system. It's just life-changing, so if that's a really rewarding thing about what I do, is that if we can go in and, shave some steps off, improve the quality of the finish, that sort of thing. Time is money.
Yeah.
So
now obviously I don't have a full slide deck for Rupes, but didn't you guys start out kind of in the body shop world, in the collision repair industry?
It's kind of funny because in Europe, specifically Italy, that's the majority of the business and has been historic, right? I've heard stories about, when we started talking about detailing, they were like, what, what's detailing? It was kind of almost like a foreign concept. So over in Europe, body shop is primary industry. They do a lot more woodworking than we do. We're starting to gain some momentum there. We're also pushing into aviation and marine, from the manufacturing process to detailing to, resprays, working with all the maintenance and repair operations, that sort of thing. So a lot going on.
Yeah, we were actually just in Houston at the Lone Star Museum with Brett Berry and Josh Hernandez from the ADA, and that's we had Giancarlo, and that's where Todd Helm was at, and we were looking at the Rupes for those applications, a lot of different substrates and a lot of different stuff. But if you have like every year at SEMA, people have the opportunity to use some of the body shop stuff. I know that last year you guys had the palm sanders basically, and you have different throws of those as well. Just like a polisher, a sander can have a different throw, and it can have a different size throw. So there's like 9 and 6, and people should take a look at that, because even in the detailing world, if you're getting into a lot of wet sanding or a lot of dry sanding, those machines are awesome because they're also can be hooked to a vacuum system. So you're not getting the dust and everything. And I kind of grew up in that environment. So I played with them a couple of times, both at the Rupes Training Center and then at SEMA. Last year, I messed around with some of those, and I have my favorite, but they work really well. They're very efficient. So when you talk about efficiency, if somebody is, let's say you've got a 45-foot boat in the marine industry and you've got to sand it down, you've got to get something that is going to make you efficient. So the palm sanders, they're actually really nice. I've used a lot of different brands of those. And good morning, Nicole. And I've used the Rupes one. Is very, very nice. It feels good in your hand. The ergonomics are good. So, kind of a deviation from our detailing stuff. Yeah, exactly.
My dad's always stealing my polishers and Rupes products.
There you go.
No, it's interesting. We're a premium brand, and we're not the cheapest guys around, but those products, the Scorpio sanders is what you're talking about, the pneumatic palm sanders. It's one of the best values in the industry. If you look at some of the top tools in that space, in the sander space, from a vibration balance standpoint, our sander stands up to those, but typically around half, 50 to 60% of the cost of some of those competitors. So it's a really, really good value. It's one of the products that, just for the best bang for the buck, it's hard to beat.
Yeah. My personal favorite's the 6. I like that one. So Santa.
Yeah, kind of middle of the road.
If you're listening, Santa, I'd like a Scorpio 6 for Christmas.
Speaking of value, so the dust collection vacuum that you mentioned, which is really made for coarser sanding, so body filler and primer, that sort of thing, dry sanding. That's also another product that just has a ton of value for it. And Rupes came up with the first portable vac system in the 85, 86 era. Yep. So a lot of central vac systems already existed, and we do that in Europe as well. Built into the space, into the building. But
and I think there's a lot more people that are looking into things like that, because when you talk about efficiencies and specifically in the detailing industry, whether you're talking about there's so many different ways you look at efficiencies depending on what you're working on: automotive, aviation, and marine. Automotive, everything you can increase efficiencies, and it's kind of a nerdy thing that my brain does, but it tries to figure out efficiencies all the time. How can I mow the lawn faster? How can we get the dishes cleaned faster? That kind of stuff. So when you're talking about detailing, the very simple efficiency things are, how can I take fewer steps to the cart, right? Now, if you've never been to the Rupes Training Center, the first thing that happens when you go out in the actual hands-on area is there's a cart for everybody. And everybody's cart has all the things you need. That is for efficiency in the training, but that is literally a metaphor for what you should be doing in your own shop. You don't need to walk back and forth 147 times to get things. We all have that cabinet in our shop where we put our products, but you need to transfer those to a cart to move around.
Yeah. Work smarter, not harder, right?
Right. But with marine and aviation, this is also heightened because you do not want to get in and out of that boat 100 times or around the backside of that airplane, because there's so much more surface area that you're dealing with that you've got to become efficient.
Absolutely. You're right. I mean, efficiency, it translates to almost every industry that we can speak of. I was just thinking about, the paint and body industry. We kind of talked about the efficiencies that we can build into that space as well. But detailing is the same. We want to get the best possible finish in the least amount of steps possible. Yep. One thing that we really talk about is doing test spots. I think there's not enough value placed on that. When I'm part of a training, especially, people that are new to sanding and polishing, I mean, I beat that drum really, really hard. In fact, I have So I have a 67 Mustang, and I had a little bit of rust on the door. So I pulled the door off, brought it down to bare metal, did all the body, weld some patches in, and did the body work, and just got done painting it, sanding it, polishing it. And I had a little bit of texture. I'm not the best painter out there, but I can sand and polish very well. So anyway, I did, I think, 4 test spots on this door before I figured out exactly what my methodology was going to be to get me the best finish and the fewest steps possible. And so that translates across every single industry and every application for sanding and polishing. And so that's the biggest one. I mean, you're right. You need to have your workspace kind of organized. And I'm old. I have some back problems. I want everything on a cart. I don't want to be reaching down to grab stuff on the floor, even if it's out of a case or a bag or something like that. So that's another thing.
And talking about efficiencies, I think a lot of detailers, especially when they come to Rupes training, right, their mindset over the past years is, I got to go fast, right? And the big thing is with the Rupes system, it's designed to work for you. So retraining your body to go a little bit slower at a different pace and allow the machine and the compound to work for you creates in itself efficiencies that will make your product
faster.
Yeah, and faster.
And dual action random orbital. I mean, it's really one of the challenging things is meeting someone that may have been using a rotary for 10 years or 20 years, right? And they're used to that machine, and they have got their technique dialed in, their experience, they're really good with it. They know, how not to burn a panel, right, with a rotary. To teach someone like that to slow way down as far as technique goes and arm speed goes is difficult. We can take someone who's never polished before in their lives and just get amazing results with a random orbital dual action system, like right away, right? But a lot of what we do with body shops that use a lot of rotary still is like have to explain conceptually what's happening with a random orbital system, right? I mean, the orbit is doing all the work. So if you move too fast, there's no scrubbing action happening, right? Yeah. So that takes a little while. It's like I always say, it's like, look, I know you know how to ride a bike, but I'm going to show you a new way. It's like, what? So it takes a little while.
Sure. That's I actually had quite a few conversations with Jason Rose for a long time, because that's you're describing, me. I'd never had even a fixed rotation. Well, I mean, it's a rotary, but that's all I'd ever touched was a rotary. And so the first time I picked up a random orbital, and I was talking to Jason, I'm like, I hate this thing. I'm quote stalling it out all the time. I constantly am stopping it. I hate this thing. I hate this thing. I hate this thing. And then I got to a point where I understood what was going on, and I like it in situations where the first situation I got into, and Tayton mentioned it earlier, was in a sanding situation. It wasn't actually in polishing. It was a sanding situation with a small, like the Duetto or something small like that, where I was like, okay, this makes sense, because always in your palm sanders and stuff are that's sort of a mentality, right? You're not pushing super hard. You're letting the machine do the work. And so when I first got it in, and I was like, okay, this makes sense for this. And then I had to just kind of switch my brain to polishing and do the same thing. And then I told Jason, I was like, okay, I actually like it. But I think that it is conceptually, people have a hard time with it because of the fact that it has been portrayed as this negative thing. And I think that every single machine has that, right? You guys have a great slide deck. If you've never done a Rupes training, you need to. I won't spoil what the slide deck says, but basically it compares all of the types of polishers, and it gives where they're the best and where they're the worst, right? The positives and negatives, pros and cons. And that's really what you need to look at, because you need to have all those tools in your arsenal. Those of us that have been playing around with cars long enough to have arthritis know that you have all of those things, right? You have the situation where you're like, yeah, this is definitely, I'm breaking out the rotary for this, or this is, I'm not going to bring out the nano. I'm going to bring out the smallest possible thing in the world. And actually, the more you understand each of those tools and what they're used for, again, the more efficient you can be. Todd said something at the aviation training, the ADA aviation training we just were in Houston. And it was interesting because he was talking about that. If you slow down, you speed up your process. And it's the words even are confusing to people. They're like, what? And it's like, yeah, you slow down your passes, you're speeding up the cutting action because you're on the surface area longer, and therefore the polishing will be done faster. And then it makes sense. But when you tell people you need to slow down to go faster, they're like, huh? What kind of what?
It's all about orbits per minute, right? It's about revolutions per minute. We're talking about orbits per minute. So the more orbits per minute that you can put in a singular space on the panel, the more work you're going to do.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
But yeah, you're right. It's about picking the right tool for the job. It's a cliche, but it's true.
Yeah. It is absolutely true. And we all have our own little fun techniques that we do and things that we cheat on and try out. But, one of the things that was really cool is last year when you guys released the hybrid, the 21, Todd Helm and I tried to burn through a hood prior to SEMA opening. We literally
have done that a few times.
We tried to burn through a hood, and we tried to stall the machine out, the famous those machines stall, and I couldn't get it to stall. Jody and I still have the video of it, and I mean I'm hammering on this thing. My arms are shaking. I'm just it's screaming. It's like if I rode a moped down the street, it is screaming at the amount of pressure that's on it. So it's cool. I love the innovation. I love the fact that you guys continue to just keep pushing the needle forward.
All I gotta say is you guys are gonna love this new product.
Yeah, for those of you that
it's really good.
It is really, really cool. Jody and I both we saw the thing that will be released on Monday.
The thing.
And we were like, oh crap. Well, we're gonna have to buy one of those. So it's all good stuff. And I think that it just helps us be more efficient and better at our jobs and stuff. And unfortunately, Tayton's going to have more products that are stolen by his father.
Yeah, I wish I could say more about that product, but
yeah, the picture actually gives a little bit of it's a good marketing because it actually gives you a little teaser, but it doesn't really tell you what to see.
Giancarlo
is ready to go, baby.
That's it. So
he is ready to go. We love it.
Well, let's talk a little bit about your new role. I mean, there's been a lot of changes. I slipped and said you were the new CEO. So I take back my congratulations. No, but you're now the national accounts manager. So what does that mean for you at Rupes, and how is that going to affect the people that you serve?
So that change was effective January 1st of this year. So we're 8.5 months into it, something like that. So it's going really well. So I was an area sales manager before. All of our area sales managers are highly technical, and a lot of times are doing our own classes, that sort of thing. All have extensive sanding and polishing experience, but in my territory, which was so Louisiana, obviously, Louisiana, Mississippi, Arkansas, Oklahoma, and Texas, a lot of paint and body, kind of proportionally more paint and body accounts, some larger paint and body accounts in that territory, some very good detail supply accounts as well. But I had a lot of, success with the PBE market, feel really at home there. And it was decided to kind of, in an effort to expand that part of the business, take over all those national accounts, still some other accounts as well that fit into whether it's industrial, aviation, marine, that sort of thing. So essentially I'm, very similar role, but just nationwide. So all across the country and Canada as well. So.
That's what I was going to ask you is how far your territory reaches. So you're into the Canada market.
Yep.
Well, okay, perfect.
Yep. So opening up some new accounts, doing trainings, working out promotions within, those territories, those segments, that sort of thing. So it's a lot, but it's going great. Traveling, flying further, driving less, but still a lot of travel. Seeing some new places I haven't really, explored before. So that's kind of neat. That's kind of a perk of the job is, as you guys know, you're on the road a lot.
Yep.
Flying from city to city, and you got to get a little taste of the local culture there. So that's always cool.
Well, I think they messed up though. It's really the North American accounts manager, not national.
Yeah, I guess technically you're right.
So yeah, I mean,
we just gave him a promotion.
We just gave him
on the
another
RoadFS podcast. We'll give you.
I just got a box of business cards.
You got to send them back. You're wrong. Now you're
send them back and do reprints.
North American.
That's awesome.
Yeah, just at Rupes headquarters, just send the second check to the same place as you send the first check to Chris for the Canadian market.
That's super exciting. So, and we know you guys are going to be at SEMA, right?
Yeah.
So the thing that will be announced on Monday will be at SEMA?
Yeah, 100%.
So everybody can get their hands on it, taste it, smell it, rub it on your head, use it on your feet. Might be a softening cream, might not be. Might have hints of cinnamon, might be pumpkin spice. The new pumpkin spice.
What did your wife take you to some boutique or something? It's like,
no, I just some days I wake up like this.
Oh man!
Usually it's the days I sleep much.
We started demoing this product a couple of weeks ago. We just asked people not to, put it on social media, but so everyone has one. All the technicians, field application technicians, and sales managers have one. So
yeah,
any upcoming trainings will have it with us for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Well, that's what's cool about it is you get it in the hands. I mean, that's really the only way to test out a new product is to get it in the hands of somebody that's going to use it because, you guys get the feedback. And I know that when I talked to Todd this last week in Houston, he was talking about that too, is some of the feedback on prior to releasing the hybrid, the feedback that was given to Rupes because of the field testing. Changes were made, and that's really we really adopt that philosophy, and we see how important that is with our clients. We roll something out on the CRM software, and we get feedback on it, and we make changes. If you don't, you've got to listen to your clients, and you got to listen to the people that are actually using it. Right.
Yeah, I mean, at SEMA, that was the introduction of the hybrids, the 15 and the 21. So those were hand built tools. Those were pre-production, and there were a couple little changes that we made before we went to production. One was the trigger lock. It's also now a release, because what we realized were when people would flip it over to change the battery, sometimes they were hitting the trigger.
Yeah,
right. So that was a running change.
Yeah, and I don't know if everybody knows or not. They're handmade. They're actually handmade by the ex-Keebler elves, and they whittle the plastic and they make them in a little tree, in a hollow tree. So, I'm sure if anybody knew that or not. They're Italian.
They're Italian Keeblers.
Hey,
there is some truth to what you're saying, Jody. So the first production runs were built in Italy. But a lot of people know most of the North American tools, we're actually getting the components from overseas and we're hand assembling. So those, for probably the last month or so, don't quote me on that, we've been building all of those hybrids in Colorado.
That's awesome.
And if you haven't had a chance to go through that facility, which you guys do allow people to go through to certain areas and you can go in there, it's fabulous just to watch it happen. I know that there's some podcasts out there. I know that the Rad Company years ago went through there and did some podcasts, and then we were able to actually film one live in there. So for those of you that want to see what that's like and don't have the opportunity to go to Colorado, you can go out to our podcast channel.
I'll find the link and I'll put it in the comments.
You can go watch that and kind of see what's inside of it, and that's what's really cool is actually going through that facility and seeing the people work on that, because that's not only a site where you build them, but people can actually send them in for repairs. Whoops, I dropped it off this airplane, bounced on the ground, broke the case, send it in, they'll repair it. We were at a training, and a guy here from Boise, Idaho took in 3 machines, and the day he dropped them off in the morning, and before the training was over, they were repaired in his hand. It was unbelievable. So
we don't do that every time.
No, but the facility is fantastic. There's a process. You go to the repairs, you can send it in, and then they will send it back to you. And you guys kind of go above and beyond. I'm not going to give secrets, but the repair facility goes above and beyond when you guys have any kind of an issue with the Rupes machine.
Yeah, I think the important part of that, this is going to sound self-serving, but it's true, is that, we're repairing the tools. It's not a third party.
Right.
Very, very often there's a third party, some other company somewhere repairing tools. And so we can control the quality, we can control the turnaround. We're always trying to shave those days down as far as, how the turnaround time. I was at Home Depot in a tool rental department about 6 months ago, and there was a sign there, and it said basically that they're not accepting any other tools for repairs anymore. That you have to go back to the manufacturer directly. And so I didn't even know that they had offered that. So for Ryobi or Bosch or all of those power tools that they sell. And I said, how long have you guys been doing this? And they said, for years. But so what's your turnaround time typically? And it was like 90 to 120 days.
Oh, ow.
What?
So every now and then we get hey, why does it take you guys so long to repair tools, a week or 2 weeks, depending if it's a warranty or a flat rate repair. We have, kind of different standards there. But I'm like, no, that's for the industry. That's a pretty good turnaround.
That's a real good turnaround.
I can't even imagine sending something off and getting it back in 180 days.
I'd throw it away and buy a new one.
You might as well just buy a new one at that point. Or just go to Tate and Trout's shop in Colorado and steal it. Because apparently you can do that. You can just steal it and take it.
We made some changes to that repair program a couple of years ago. So now, at one point, it didn't include like stators and motors and that sort of thing. Now it does. It includes everything. We increased the price just a little bit, but basically anything that's wrong with the tool, if you on an RV and you drop it and it breaks in half and the motor's fried, that's covered 100%. A certain point, depending on how much damage there is, we might just replace it with a new tool. But yeah, I mean, people are buying tools off of eBay and sending them in for repair, and it doesn't matter. We'll repair it. So yeah, it's not really a profit center for us. It's more about just standing behind the products, and we understand they're not cheap tools, and so we want you to have it for a lifetime. And so it's an investment in
that most of the very reputable tool companies do that stuff. I mean, back 100 years ago when I was a mechanic, you didn't buy Harbor Freight tools because they broke. You bought high quality tools. You bought Proto or Mac or Snap-on because they're lifetime guarantee. And it doesn't matter if I take an open end wrench and I put another one on it to get leverage and I break it in half, they're still going to replace it.
Right.
And that's the reason we buy those tools. They're more expensive. Absolutely. They're 2-3 times the price of a regular wrench, but they're going to stand behind it for life. And that's like,
well, and that really counts when you're using those tools every day.
Yes.
Yeah. Especially when you're making your money off of them. I mean, if you think about a polisher, and let's just say that on average, I paid $650 to $700 for a polisher, and I'm doing a 3-step correction and a ceramic coating, and I'm getting paid $2,500 for that. You're paying for that tool in a couple of those. It's already paid for. If you're not, then you're not working your pricing right to work in for the wear and tear on your tool, which brings me to that point where you need to work in depreciation of your tools. You can throw in there, it's going to cost me X number of dollars for, 4 ounces of this compound. I'm going to throw in the price of a couple of rags. I'm going to the full price of a pad on every time I do a correction. But you need to also factor in the wear and tear on that machine. If you can get 5 years out of a machine, then divide that out by the number of cars you do in 5 years. And then you've got to put in that little extra piece, absolutely, for the price of the machine, so that at the end of that 5 years, you've already paid for a new one, if that makes sense. So try to work in everything in there, your shoes, your uniforms, your building, everything.
The other thing is having backups. Every now and then we hear about, someone that has send a tool in for, to us for repair, and they have no backup, and they're, screaming bloody murder, which I understand. It's the livelihood of your business, but if it's the livelihood of your business, you need to have enough, backup tools or supplies to compensate for, if something goes down.
Yeah, that's an important thing. We think about that in the software space, right? How do we make sure that our customers using RoadFS CRM, if we do have the rare instance where it trips up, you get a blip, whatever, we can have that available to them almost immediately, right? So we spend a lot of time thinking about that, and I think a lot of business.
I mean, you think about any business, there needs to be some redundancy built into it.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, you think about how long, I mean, this is a silly example, but how long has every single car that's sold in the United States come with a spare tire? Yeah. And that's redundancy. You're going to blow a tire at some point, and they put it in there.
Some of them are not spare tires. They're just teething rings.
Well, now they're just a teething ring, but literally.
There are some that come with Fix-A-Flat now.
Yeah, exactly. Here's your spare tire. So that is one of those things that built-in redundancies are absolutely necessary. For those of you that are a single person shop, that is detrimental when you get sick because you can't go in there. Those of you that have an employee, all of a sudden now you got some built-in redundancy. Well, I can't do it, but Maddie can. And and actually Maddie can probably do it better than you, Tayton. So maybe you should take more days off.
Let's stir that pot.
So that's the thing is everybody needs redundancy, and it sounds like it's just a ploy to sell more stuff. But how many people have one polisher? I know I don't. I don't even polish for a living, and I don't even want to say how many.
Yeah, you got two.
I have two. That's it.
Yeah,
I have 4 polishers.
No, kidding.
I have 4 polishers. I have a rotary. I have a 3-inch, and I have a random orbital, and I have a gear driven. So I have 4. I have every single machine.
Yeah.
He's got it.
But the thing about that is I don't use every one all the time, right? So I don't break out certain things until, but I think that is just one of those things as a person that does any of this stuff, you need to have a full selection of tools. If you're trying to do everything with a 12-inch rotary, you are either a master or you're an idiot, and there's no in between.
So Chris, in these final moments, I mean, you've been in the industry a long time and you talk to a lot of business owners. What is the key takeaway that you think that business owners or detailers should implement in their business to help them be successful other than by the Rupes system?
I think, and this is something that is, I think at the core of what we do is education.
Yeah.
So that's number one. That's paramount. So we spend a lot of time doing demos and training sessions, and it's not, just for whoever's watching that may be familiar with the training centers that happen at the Bigfoot Academy in Colorado, or even the remote ones. We're doing training sessions for body shops and for paint and body supply companies and detail supply companies, OEMs. We're doing training videos. So I think that's paramount, is that when you are closed off to learning something new, that's the worst place to be in. And so the business owners that we run across that are successful, that are open to new innovative ideas, may be something that will again build some efficiencies versus maybe an older antiquated system or an older way of doing things. I think that's the key. We do occasionally just run into those business owners who aren't open to change, that don't want to no, I've been doing this for 30 years, you're not going to teach me anything new. Okay, good luck. They're out there, but for the most part, the people that are open to kind of broaden their horizon, that are constantly learning, that constantly improving, those are the successful people.
Yeah. And I can tell you that I have never I have never been to a training where I have not learned something new, even the same training. So going to the Bigfoot Academy and going through the Rupes training multiple times, I always learn something new.
Yeah.
And that is one of the things that people are always saying, yeah, but Rod, you get these opportunities and you and Jody get to go all this stuff. We do. We have some unbelievable opportunities.
But we invest in that.
We invest in it, but I also am looking for that. I am looking for that new thing. What can I learn from this training? And I learned stuff from the most crazy scenarios in the world. I picked up stuff at everywhere. I mean, the Peterson Museum, I picked up some training techniques from somebody that was literally where they're doing a job, and I'm picking up training techniques. So I think that everybody just has to open their mind to be able to soak that in. The more you know, the better you're going to be, and the more you can help other people.
You know, and that's a good point. You know, that I went to all seasons details training, all Spanish, about a month ago. And Juan Gonzalez was doing some paint drip training.
Yeah.
And I mean, he taught some techniques that I'd never seen. Right. And then a month later, we're at Tayton's shop and Rod's showing some related techniques, but completely different. Right. And so to Rod's point, it's like, take advantage of every single opportunity that is presented to you, because you will learn something if you're open to it that will elevate your game.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid to ask questions.
Well, that's for sure. And I think that's people feel like they're going to, put your ego aside.
Be humble enough to say, hey, I don't have experience in this area. And what you just said was really interesting. Can you expand upon that? Or, ask other questions. Be humble enough to admit, you don't know everything. That's how you really learn.
Yeah. And I think that's just one of those things, is that we're all here to better ourselves. And I learn stuff from you guys do too. Everybody learns from competitors and partners and customers. And, you get a customer that gets irate with you over something that can teach you something.
Or you can get mad and throw a gasket.
You can, but that also teaches you something. Like, maybe I shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
But that's one of the things that he was talking about, is that the training at Tate and Trout's is I took, let's see, I second this. Yes. So I took the technique that I learned from a hot rod pinstriper to help me with sanding. Now pinstripers don't sand, but they use their finger to support their hand while they're going along. And I do the same thing in my like a run in clear coat. When I'm using the razor blade, I put my finger and I support my hand while I'm doing that.
Absolutely.
So
it's interesting you say that about the pinstriping, because I saw a video on Instagram where the guy ran a piece of masking tape right under where he was going to do that. And he was using the edge of that masking tape to rest one of his fingers on. And that's how he could keep that line straight. So I thought I was showing some people there about that, how they do that. And they wear a cotton glove and they have the fingers cut out where they're actually cleaning, but the glove is there to guide across it. And so there's always something you can pick up. Right. There's always something you can pick up, whether it's, I picked up something at a marine training and I can relate that back to automotive or to aviation. There's always a specifics techniques, right? So aviation is a different animal. Motorcycles are a different animal. Put the rotary away, get out your tiny, tiny tools. And, but the thing is, I feel like the Rupes system has a broad spectrum of products. And you guys have trainers that are dedicated, very knowledgeable. I don't know any of the trainers that are at Rupes that have not been involved in doing this stuff. And I think that's what's one of the things that I like about going there. I don't know if the Rupes Training Center, if anybody's never been there, but when you walk in the back and you got all the bays, and then there's on the right is where the compressor and everything is in the classroom. On the left, there's a wash bay. We're going to turn that into my office, because last year we were there so much that I said, can I just get a pillow and sleep here? Because I've been here 3 times in 4 months. So we're still working on that. They got a new CEO. I'm going to have to soften him up a little bit. But,
come on, Chris. Yeah. So anyway.
Well, just going back to the constantly learning thing. That's something that we do too. It's not just the trainers are constantly learning. So we learn things from customers, from each other. One of the things that Jason and Todd and Alberto and all the guys on the technical team are doing, we're constantly testing and validating things, right? So we, from time to time, will change procedure on a technique. Priming is one that comes to mind. You know, I'll be out in the field and I'll prime a pad a certain way, and that's how we're teaching it now. And, you know, someone will say, hey, you know, like 6 years ago, I was told to prime this way. Like, yeah, we used to teach it that way, but here's why we're doing it differently now. So
yeah,
that's always happening.
Yeah. And I think people don't understand that. That is when you learn something new, you adjust how you think. You know, it's how it is. Let's take smoking, for example. Back in the 50s, they told you smoking was healthy for your lungs. Oh, you've got a problem with your lungs? Smoke a cigarette. And so regardless of the political reasons or the monetary reasons behind that, that was something people learned, that smoking was healthy.
And you look cool.
The other day, they prescribed it for a cough. Menthol cigarettes. Yeah,
menthol cigarettes. So now we know through science and through you know, that's not correct. So you change the way you think.
Yeah.
So that's just like anything. You can relate that to anything. In software, we used to do it this way. Now we've learned to do it this way. Dude. There, you know, there's certain techniques that people do, and people will ask us all the time, well, you guys used to do this, and we'd say yes, and we learned that was doing nothing but draining your battery in your phone because it was on all the time. So now we do it in what's called casually. So it's on when you need it, it's off when you need it, and polishes are no different.
Always
pads
tweaking.
are no different. Everything's always tweaking. So.
Can't be so married to your ideas that you're not willing to change or listen to a new way. You know, that's just intellectual death as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Chris, thank you so much for taking the time to visit with us. How do people get connected with you and or the RoadFS team?
So for me, I'm pretty active on social media. So on Facebook, it's Christopher Wright. On Instagram, it's Chris at Rupes. And RupesUSA.com is our website. That's a USA group. There's a very important distinction there. So Rupes.com is Italy. Rupes USA is the USA and North American team. So, and we're all over YouTube and Instagram, Facebook, not TikTok, but I'm sure we have a lot of users on TikTok as well. So.
I guarantee you do. So
you do. And you have some people that are from Rupes that are on TikTok that are very popular. So if you can't find RoadFS, it's just like if you can't find RoadFS, you're not looking. You guys will be at SEMA. That's probably the next upcoming big event that you guys have. Besides Monday, there's a huge announcement on Monday. I'm not sure if you heard the podcast, but big announcement. SEMA, go there. Get your hands on the tool. I love that environment, SEMA and Mobile Tech Expo, because you can put the machine in your hand. You can touch the polish. You can smell it, taste it, feel it, rub it on your face.
I wouldn't
do
recommend
whatever.
tasting it, but
yeah, it probably tastes bad. but you can actually feel it. You can get your hands on it. You can, you know, the balance, the weight, all the things that are involved in it. And yes, it costs money. People talk about those events and they all cost money. But the thing about it is you're getting an opportunity that you're not otherwise going to get. Remember back in the day when you used to go to the store to try on clothes? Remember that? And you went, hey, this one doesn't fit. Even though it's my size, it doesn't fit. So I better get a smaller one. And that way my muscles show better.
Yeah.
So,
well,
but now everything's done online. And that's the thing about MTE, the thing about SEMA, the thing about these training events is you can actually get your hands on the machines, on the system, and try them out and see what it's like.
It doesn't taste.
It actually bad. Does. It does.
That's funny.
And it just a secret note. If you want to ask Jason Rose how it tastes, ask him because I completely covered him.
What you and Rod are doing behind the boys' bathroom, tasting the stuff.
He just took a completely hard turn. It had nothing to do with that.
Like your little kids sneaking in the back room to smoke.
I don't know what you guys are talking about, but I'm sorry.
Anyway. Well, thank you so much, Chris. It's been a great conversation. You guys, we look forward to seeing you guys soon. look, as Rod said, look out for that announcement. And Chris, thank you so much. And thank you to the RoadFS team. You guys have been nothing but gracious to us. And we always love hanging out with you guys.
Yep. So one
thanks for having me.
Before we go, it's healthier than mayo on my sandwich. Everybody go out and like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. It helps us continue to put this podcast on and go to all your trainings and be everywhere on the planet. And we really appreciate it.
And we will check you guys.
We'll see you guys next week. And
so
really blue smells great. So we're gonna be here taste testing Rupes products apparently. So I don't recommend that. But
oh man. Anyway, well, you guys have a great day. Thank you, Chris, and we will check you guys.
Thank you. It's been an honor.
See ya.
See ya.